The 5 types of people that you want to be careful about getting into a relationship with are the dysfunctional, the emotionally unavailable, the emotionally unstable, the emotional roller coasters, and the rehab projects. The final red flag relationship that you want to try to avoid are the rehab projects. What are rehab projects? Rehab projects are people who have been broken in a major way with no plans for repair. Now, a rehab project can be broken in several ways. They can be broken physically, which means maybe they're in jail, or they like going to jail, or they like hanging in the streets, or they like to couch surf so they don't have a true address. They can be broken financially, which means that they don't have a job or they can't hold a job. And maybe they've even dropped out of school. They have no phone, or their phone has been shut off numerous times repeatedly because they can't pay the bill. And when it comes to bills, they can't pay those either. They may live from paycheck to paycheck, or they may walk around with a ton of debt. They can be broken emotionally. By emotionally, that means they're probably not responsible and they're probably not respectful. There's a little bit of immaturity in them, so they'll probably fulfill their wants instead of their needs. So if the choice is between paying the rent or getting the latest Jordans or buying the latest Coach, the big thing about rehab projects is that they actually have no plans to change or to advance. So they may have a dream, but they have no idea how to achieve it. What type of people do rehab projects attract? Rehab projects attract project managers. So what's a project manager? A project manager is someone willing to put their construction hat on, take a broken person, invest all of their resources because they're gambling on building a boo. Project managers hate the rehab project's reality. So remember, rehab projects are broken in a major way, financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, some type of way. They're broken in a major way. So I know what you're thinking. If project managers hate the reality of rehab projects so much, then why do they want to build a boo? Unfortunately, project managers fall in love with the rehab project's potential, with what the rehab project could someday become. So, how do project managers fall in love with rehab projects? The project managers convince the rehab project to buy into the project manager's potential that they see in them. So project managers may see that rehab project as somebody famous, like a rapper, or maybe a successful businessman, or maybe an entrepreneur, or maybe a doctor, an attorney, somebody getting a 6-figure salary, a singer, or maybe a political figure. The project manager is enamored with the idea of having the rehab project fulfill their potential and walking hand in hand into the sunset together. In order to achieve this, the project manager has a Build-A-Boo blueprint all ready to go. On the blueprint, maybe the project manager is going to move them into their house. Maybe they're going to get a house together. But in that house, the project manager is going to be paying all the bills. Maybe the project manager decides to construct the rehab project's resume. Maybe the project manager arranges for a job interview. The project manager buys work clothes every time the rehab project needs a job. Or the project manager is building up money so they can bail them out once again. Maybe the project manager even manages to broker a decent agreement between the rehab project and their baby mamas or their baby daddies. And they can even do this when they pay for the new child that shows up while they're in a relationship with the rehab project. On the slide. Maybe the project manager pays for all the dates, even the dates that the rehab project thinks of. Maybe the project manager has to make excuses as to why the rehab project hasn't changed, despite the input of all the project manager's resources. The challenge to dating rehab projects is that the major problem with that relationship is its very construction. The project manager's blueprint to build a boo is actually just a recipe to rescue and change a person. Not good. Project managers fail to read the label on the side of rehab projects before they fall in love with them. And on the side reads that results may vary. So the project manager can pour into the rehab project and it can end up with result number 1. The project manager succeeds. The rehab project actually is rescued and actually changes. The project manager has successfully built a boo. Or did they? With the investment of all the time, energy, money, and the rest of the resources, it's more so that the project manager didn't build a boo, more so than they raised a child. And by raising a child, what's going to happen? The child is going to grow up and the child is going to leave. That's the unfortunate reality of building a boo. And the project manager can pretty much forget about getting any accolades or praises for all the resources that they poured into the rehab project, because project managers are volunteers. Nobody asked them to sacrifice their life for someone else. The second outcome is that the project manager, for all of their resources that they pour into a rehab project, actually failed. They're unable to change the rehab project's reality. So the rehab project is still addicted. The rehab project is still a bum. The rehab project is still a deadbeat parent. The project manager is unable to quit. The project manager is going to continue to pour in resource after resource in the hopes of making the rehab project change. Why? The project manager feels that they haven't invested enough resources, so they know if they just add that one more resource, they just go one step further, that will be the catalyst that will cause the rehab project to change. They feel guilty because in the beginning, remember, the project manager and the rehab project, they come together and they buy into the rehab project's potential. And because it hasn't been fulfilled, the project manager feels guilty. So they want to keep going. The project manager is afraid that for all of their efforts, their time, their energy, their money, that if they leave, the rehab project might change that next day, and the project manager misses it. So someone else reaps the benefit of all of their work. In either case, the project manager remains in a relationship that makes them miserable, in a relationship where they're resentful, in a relationship where they become jaded as they gather up more money to go visit the bail bondsman to bail their boo out of jail once again. In this relationship, there are 2 rules that the project manager needs to understand. Number 1, they are volunteering in a high-stakes game. They're giving up resources in the hopes that they can rescue and change the rehab project. They're gambling their emotions, they're gambling with their heart, they're gambling their everything. The second rule that project managers need to understand is that they are entering a relationship where they know they are unevenly yoked with another person. They are willingly entering into a relationship that can be called struggle love. Struggle love is that type of love where you're unevenly yoked, one partner has more than the other, and the project manager becomes a teacher, a counselor, or a sponsor. The one thing a project manager never becomes in these relationships is a partner. They can't be a partner because they started on uneven footing at the very beginning. Also, what you want to look at is, what is the rehab project's motivation for change? The project manager has them buying into their potential, but the rehab project's reality has been there for who knows how long. The rehab project didn't decide to change by their parents' intervention. They didn't decide to change because members of their family's intervention. They didn't decide to change because of their children. And yet the project managers believe that they are the one person who can cause a rehab project to change. Does that sound like that philosophy is rooted in reality? So, of all the red flag relationships for you to avoid, the rehab projects tend to be the relationship that most people fall into. Project managers have to understand that a person's reality is their reality. You can't force someone to change to fit a project manager's potential. When you attempt to change someone, the only thing that can lead to is a change in you, because you become frustrated, resentful, and you lose your most valuable resource, which is time. Well, that's all for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll be made aware when the next one is made, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. Whew. That was 23 minutes. Yeah, we got to cut that one down. Big time.